Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast. Well, we have kind of an interesting one here. Let me just introduce myself. I'm Ralph Quartucci. And
usually I'm fourth in line. I can come in right now. I'm John Quartucci.
we had a bit of a cancellation tonight. We were supposed to do
minute.
This is Spinal Tap, which we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
But since we had the equipment all up and I had all my 4 cameras aligned and set up, we thought John and I are doing a little test run for a podcast that we have an idea to try called In the Queue or Queue It Up or
Queue it up with the Q brothers.
Queue It Up with the Q brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to let...
Yeah, wait, I want to make this clear. This was my idea. This
Yes.
was not Ralph's idea.
So-
Ralph was
so-
all set not to do anything. But, I mentally get so psyched up for these things that I was raring to go. Because, first of all, I love the movie Spinal Tap. So I'm giving you a spoiler alert for next week. And I was dying to talk about it. And then when we got the text messages that it was canceled, I was kind of bummed out. And Ralph and I talked about it. And we said, okay, we'll do it next week. And then I called him back and said, hey, Ralph, what the hell? Why don't we just do a podcast and let's talk about how this whole thing got started and a little background. Because I don't think, I've only been on it for the last 4 months. But prior to that, when you guys really did it as a podcast, as opposed to a YouTube thing, I don't know if you get into backgrounds on each other. I know there's a little bit of the bios, but you guys don't really talk about it, right?
There's bios on the website. Nobody goes to our website, so nobody sees those.
Okay, so I thought it'd be interesting to get a little background information. Since you are the brains of the operation.
Turns out I'm the brains, yep.
You got
I'm the
this
one who
whole
came up
thing
with
going.
the idea.
So here's my question. So I came on this very late, right? But
COVID. You came COVID.
COVID, that's right.
When we
Because of
switched to Zoom.
Because
Zoom made it easier to do
So
this,
how long have you been doing this?
Well, I think about 4 years.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was that long.
I
really?
think, well, I'm trying to think, maybe 3-4 years. We started, Sean, who was the other guy who started with me, we're both working at National Geographic at the time as editors. I had always wanted to do a podcast about something. I don't know, the business, movies, whatever. And I had never met anybody that I wanted to try it with. Then I meet Sean, who's a character. Didn't know anything about him. Didn't even know he was an editor till I met him. Never met him. We've been in the same business for 30 years. He's actually up in Baltimore. I'm in D.C., 40 minutes away.
But he's a writer. He's a writer, right?
He writes books, and he actually writes screenplays, mostly from his books. He's also worked at ad agencies. He's got a pretty rich history.
Did he write before he edited? Was he a writer first?
I think so.
An editor?
I think so.
Interesting.
Editing is kind of like plumbing. It's something that we can dive in. Everybody needs a good plumber. Everybody needs a good editor. So we always fall back on that.
Wow, I never made that.
So I had no idea who he was. I started talking to him at work, and he just cracked me up. The guy just made me laugh, and we had great conversations about movies from the 70s. And I said, I think we should do a podcast about movies from the 70s. Let's get on there and talk about the movies we love to watch from the 70s. So we started planning that. And then I'm working over at Geographic, so I'm working with all these young people, millennials and Gen Xers and Oregon Trailers, whatever. I don't even know what all the delineations are. And I said to him, why don't we do a thing called multi-generational podcast, where each one of us brings one movie that we talk about that all the other 3 have to watch. And at that time it was 4 dudes. It was me, Sean, Hassan, and Al, a.k.a. Al. We're not going to say what his real name is.
The cult guy, Al.
Now he's doing the cult corner because
right.
That's right. And I couldn't think of a name. I love this movie. Here, let me cut to my camera 2. Favorite movie. I got a poster back there. You can't really see it. And I wanted to call it You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat. And then the millennial, Hassan, comes and says, you know what? I think we should call it You're Gonna Need a Bigger Podcast. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Check it out. Make sure nobody else has that thing. So the millennial, who likes to smoke a little weed, so he's not quite always there, tells me, you got it. So I made posters. I set up a website. I do all this stuff. And then what happened? What happened when I put it up?
Somebody had the name, and what you get? You get whacked.
Who told me somebody had a name?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
because I looked it up, and I don't smoke weed. So when I looked it up, I was of sound mind. I said, Ralph, someone's already got this name.
I didn't look it up. I assumed that he had looked it up and we were all good. So I had all these posters. So I remember Al running into my room and I said to Al, this name's already been taken. I actually contacted the guy who hadn't done anything in a long time. And I'm like, and I emailed him saying, look, he goes, yeah, we're going to get back to eventually. So I couldn't take his name.
Oh, I didn't know you contacted him.
Oh, yeah. Because I really love that name. And then at a spur of the moment, I said, well, my second favorite movie of all time is Die Hard. And I just immediately came up with Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother. I thought of that, and I said, let's just call it Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. It's a long name. I know it. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I get it. I never expected anybody to watch it anyway. And that's where we came up with.
So the audience understands. Original, and by the way, every week I tell you to subscribe, hit the notification button, hit like. But Ralph's intention when he started it was he didn't care if anybody watched it.
This was for us. He wanted
to record a conversation about movies.
We'll get into that recording stuff. But yes, it was just us wanting to talk about movies.
I like that. All
now,
right.
there was the thought that maybe, because I was
that it
telling
might catch on.
Everybody at Geo that we were doing this.
Yeah.
Everybody gets really excited until they listen to it, and then they just
it's too long.
It goes on for a while.
Yeah,
so now we have the four main people, and it was literally in this basement right here, and there used to be a pool table back here, and we literally set up. It was a podcast, audio only podcast.
Right. But you did record it.
Because I'm crazy, and as you can see, I got 4 cameras here.
Right.
I wanted to record it.
You didn't post the videos, right?
90% of them, no. A few of them we did. So we spent a couple years, just every couple of weeks we would meet and we would do a movie. It turned out to be really fun because those guys, the millennial and Al, who I guess is Oregon Trail, I guess that's he's slightly not a millennial. He's right in between the boomers.
I never heard the term Oregon Trail.
It has to do with an old Mac game that was on the original Mac computers, Macintosh or something.
All right.
People out there would know what it is. I have no idea. They were bringing movies that I would like. Al would bring Hellraiser and these, and they're not really, really crazy, but stuff that I would never watch. And certainly the things we were bringing, they had never seen French Connection. They had never seen Taking the Pelham 1, 2, 3. I don't think they even saw Jaws. I mean, it kind of blows your mind when you think about it. So they would have to watch these movies, and it was a lot of fun doing that. I saw movies I would never, ever watch, and I could appreciate the movies, never watch them again, but I kind of like what was going on. So this was rolling along smoothly. And then I had this brilliant idea to bring our significant others on for a special broadcast called Ladies' Choice. And the way that worked is me, Sean, and Al brought our significant others on, and we let them each bring a movie that we would then talk about. We were going to break it into 3 one-hour podcasts. And to be honest, that one broke me because my significant other, the only way she could get on the podcast or get into it was to drink copious amounts of wine. And it basically turned into a therapy session that everybody loved but me. And it broke me. And she was funny.
There wasn't a 1 hour. It wasn't a 1 hour. And you guys.
No, we broke it up, but I have a 3-hour version of it.
Okay.
Because it's priceless stuff. It is priceless.
But her stuff was the highlight of it?
For everybody but me. And it broke me. It broke me. So I quit for about 6 months. I just couldn't, because it was editing that one that I knew I was never going to be able to wrap my head around it. I've since put the whole video together, and I really appreciate it more now than I ever did. So, and I was doing all the editing. I'm paying for the website. We're making zero money. So we're
going to get on Patreon and we're going to get that taken care of.
We're in the red all the time, which is fine because it's just for me anyway.
But we still want you to subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button.
And then a funny thing happened. So I slowly got back into it. Oh, I skipped a step. So Sean kept bringing guests on. We had an actor who did some work in Baltimore. We had a director of Baltimore director who worked with Barry Levinson. He's done a lot of Homicide on the Street. He does, he did That Thing You Do With Us because he was also in a band that was a one-hit wonder in the 60s.
Oh, really?
So that was fun. But he kept bringing this woman named Wojo on, who became our 5th wheel. And then we added a 6th wheel because Wojo would always be driven by Brad, who we then just said, let's wire him up and let him talk. And he's now become an official member of the podcast. So Wojo joined probably about a year and a half into it.
Another writer.
Another writer who does celebrity interviews.
Right.
She was a female perspective. So we were getting a lot of crap for things like Slapshot, and she would always be our barometer when Sean and I are going off the rails about. Sean likes innuendo. I happen to like lesbians. It's a weird mix that Wojo it always drives Wojo crazy. And on top of it, she would bring us celebrities. So she brought us eventually, now we'll get to that, but brought us Lou Diamond Phillips and some other things. Long story short, this is going on too long. COVID changed everything. Obviously, we couldn't get together anymore, but it also made it a lot easier to do this because now we can be anywhere we want to be. We can use Zoom to record it. And it got me in the groove again because I don't have to do a lot of post-production on these. It was a little bit, but not too much. And it just fired us up again. And now we've added a couple new people, and my brother John included.
You've really turned it into more of a visual medium too.
Well, yes, because I like that.
Yeah, because of
you
YouTube.
and I both like that.
Yeah,
Sean is completely audio only.
And there's nothing wrong with that. When you listen to them, they're actually pretty good. But I mean, you got everyone on screen. It's like, you know.
And John and I do like to look at ourselves. I mean, part of it is I'm just looking at myself. I don't even know what John's wearing.
I'm looking right at the camera because the camera is you.
I can't do that.
The camera's
I'm
the
not
audience.
a professional. So John, you joined during COVID. Give us a little of your background because Sean and I work together at Geo. What's your story?
Well, so first of all, I've always loved movies from when I was a little kid, always, and I loved the classics even when I was a kid. We don't get to do a lot of the classics, but I'll talk more about that later. But my background, so I've done theater since I was age.
Wait, you know the rule, right?
Oh, that's right. If I bring up my acting,
any acting, if anybody famous you've worked with, we have to ring it. Name drop.
Edward Herman. I was an extra on an Edward Herman film. Yeah.
Famously, he played FDR.
No, he didn't play FDR. He played Alger Hiss.
Oh, in your thing. I'm saying I know him from FDR.
Oh, yeah. Herman Munster. He played in the remake. So I've been acting my whole life. And then about 25 years ago, actually 30 years ago, I started a consulting company. And I was traveling all the time, so I couldn't do any more acting. But I got to make these commercial training videos, which I edited most of them. Which you edited most of them. So whenever we shot these things, actually you shot them, you directed them, and you edited them. I wrote them and was usually in them. Right. So that's my background. So I think that's part of why I love movies. I love great acting, and I just love movies in general because I think there's such escapism. So when you're
an encyclopedia of movies. Your knowledge.
Well,
my knowledge is fan based. I mean, I'm not a freak about it, but it's not the level that you're into.
Well, I'm into it. Certain movies I've seen over and over again that I love, and again, you guys know from all the podcasts we've done. My how I measure a movie is if it comes on TV, will I just sit there and watch it, no matter how many times it comes on? Like the movie I wanted to do is Dodgeball. That's a silly movie, right? But whenever it comes on, I watch it. If you can throw a wrench, you can throw a ball.
Yeah. So I understand that. A lot of guys do that. If it comes on cable, you're going to keep watching it. There's a certain, or you're waiting for that scene that if you get to that scene, you're going to stay on for the rest of it.
Right.
Anyway.
That's true. Very good. Yeah. So when you asked me to come on this for Miracle Mile, which I had never seen, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go because I don't know anybody other than you. And I really enjoyed it. And I like the banter back and forth. And
I think it's your shyness that shines through. You don't have a problem joining in, I don't think.
No,
I don't think that was going to be the problem.
Ralph, look,
it's actually just the opposite.
This is, I've always looked at this as your thing.
Really?
And I never wanted to do it because I am your younger brother, even though my hair is much grayer than yours.
And you have more of it.
I don't care what color it is as long as I have it. Right. So I didn't want to, and I also, the other participants, I didn't want to do anything to, what's the word? Overshadow is not the right word, but I didn't want to take anything away from anybody. So in the beginning, I wasn't quite as outward as I probably would normally be. And as I got more and more comfortable with everybody, and I think they got more comfortable with me, I think the banter's gotten better. I think everybody seems to be enjoying the visuals now.
Well, what we started. Okay, Sean is a big personality.
Yes,
there's definitely, and this is why I love him because he's got a big personality and he knows a ton. He's like you. He's an encyclopedia of films. The guy, which is what I appreciated. Yeah. Alan Hassan brought a whole nother thing. So it became we don't want to say this, but it was like we had characters. We were kind of you fall into a certain rhythm.
Yes.
And what's happened with you is you're saying you slowly got in. You're now deep in this thing. Everybody's jokes are firing at each other. I think you're the one that came up with a quote, or somebody you know with on the website, about it's not a podcast, it's a reality show.
Yeah.
Because we do slide off into certain tangents that happen. There's all these podcasts that go on and people just talk. I mean, you know.
Your life story comes up in a lot of these podcasts, Ralph. Let's be honest.
You bring up my life story in a lot of these podcasts.
Your life
I don't do
story
it.
would be a movie, but people would say, I don't believe this. It's just not true.
It's not that big a deal. It's
well,
never,
no, it kind of is, but that's for another podcast.
Another podcast. We'll talk about that later.
Cue it up with
has to do with multiple marriages and other things. But
yeah, that's one aspect of it. I definitely want to ask.
Okay, but this is a movie podcast, so
that's right. So we don't want to get into
that.
That's cue it up with the Q brothers.
Yeah. So you cue it up. So you joined, and you it didn't take you long to get in grade.
No,
Maybe
because
one or
frankly, everyone made me feel welcome and made me feel like I brought something to it, which I thought, that helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, and then we added Drew Gould.
Drew, yeah.
Who actually is he's another good find from Sean.
Yeah.
Sean
Very
has
cerebral.
He is cerebral, but yes, and
which brings another dynamic.
I thought he was a therapist. It's so funny, just the way he talked and what he said. I always thought, but he's not. Doesn't even matter. And he's turned out to be a real nice addition too.
Yeah.
And it's it's not like Al, who was a mainstay in this thing, who I personally thought was very funny and had great taste in movies, although way outside of what I would pick, but interesting. He just couldn't. It was too much for him, especially when you add the Zoom. So when you're sitting around a pool table, and it's audio only, when you can talk or not talk. It's this talking over thing that becomes an issue, because it turns out we all like to talk about this stuff, and all of us are trying to get we know it's a long podcast, but we have a certain amount of time.
Well, we also know they only listen for 11 minutes.
That's right. We have about a 9-minute window for people.
Once we get past that, who cares?
It's just for us at that point. It doesn't even matter what we say.
What about Hassan?
He got a new job and got super busy.
Oh.
And he was always a little different. He would actually watch the movies on the way to the podcast on his phone. Because that's what they do. Millennials, I mean, or him. I don't want to put a broad swath on all of them, but specifically him, he would watch them on the way over. But he also had a good perspective too. It was fun getting those movies from those guys.
Well, the thing I found interesting about him, he hadn't seen most of the movies that we chose.
Well, he grew up in Egypt, right? So in his
that was
teenage
kind of
years.
cool that someone's seeing a movie that we love for the first time and getting their reaction from it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. And the bigger surprise we had, which blew me away, is we did Young Frankenstein, remember? And I thought that was going to be – nobody was going to have anything to say. And turns out, Drew had he didn't like it, which blew my mind. That's like when we do Spinal Tap, it's going to be a boring podcast because everybody loves that movie. I don't understand.
Come on. Everyone loved Raiders. Everyone loved – well, there's only 3 of us on Superman. Everyone loved that.
Yeah.
It's better than doing Spitfire Grill that nobody liked.
Listen, my favorite is
sit through that.
Listen, we bring this up. It's our running joke. Maybe we joke about it too much, but The Counselor, which is not a good Ridley Scott movie, but a movie I love, has gotten more abuse. And we did an audio only podcast that they tore me up in that one. So it was me against 4 or 5 of them trying to explain why I love that movie, and then. And Wojo and Sean come from a writing background. So that's an interesting way to look at things.
Yeah.
And like I said, Wojo, so we did UHF.
Which I love.
Right? Weird Al Yankovic. So Wojo had interviewed Weird Al, so we had her perspective on him. We did Young Frankenstein. She did an interview with Mel Brooks, not for our podcast, but just in general. And then she snags Lou Diamond Phillips, who stayed on with us for an hour.
Right, a podcast that nobody watches.
Nobody watches. There's no reason for him to do this. What was his big? What didn't he want to do?
No, he didn't want to talk about La Bamba.
Yeah, and it was the 30th anniversary of La Bamba 2 days later.
Lou, please don't take this the wrong way, but we want to talk about La Bamba. But
we want to talk about his
he was great. And he stayed on for a long time, which says something about the banter that we have with each other. That he was willing to do that, and that was really cool. And that, by the way, that was the most watched one we've done.
Yeah. I think that has everything to do with Lou.
Absolutely. So now here's my next question. Because I'm a big classic film guy, right? And every time I bring up classic films, everybody's like, "Oh, we don't do."
Not everybody. I'm a little.
You know what I mean? There's grumbling always.
Yeah.
So my question is, up until now, It's called Yippee-Ki-Yay. You haven't done Die Hard. It was
Right.
originally called, we're going to need a bigger boat. In fact,
Right.
your rating system used to be the yellow
Yellow
pontoons
barrels.
that nobody got.
Yellow barrels, but
Right.
okay,
So
but
we
I mean,
changed it.
people who love Jaws got it. That's all
So
that mattered to me.
how come you're hesitant? And from what I understand, it's really you, right?
Yeah.
You're hesitant to do those movies. Why?
Because everybody's done them. What else can I add to that? Another fanboy who loves Jaws, another fanboy, Die Hard, both like perfect movies in my estimation. What can I add to that? Now here's how I want to go at it. And I've said this. I'd rather do Jaws 2. I'd rather do Die Hard knockoffs. Like, let's talk about the movies that were inspired by Die Hard, including
Under Siege.
You're Under Siege. You got them all. Any person in a building, right? Trapped in a building with terrorists. I just watched one executive action.
Oh, with Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell in the airplane when Steven Seagal gets killed.
It gets wasted in the first 20 minutes.
10 minutes. That's how I want to go at it, because what can I add? Seriously, what can we add to Die Hard? What can we add to Jaws that hasn't already been done?
Well,
what perspective
that
are we going to give it?
presupposes everyone's seen it in the group.
True.
Right? Which isn't necessarily. Now,
That's true.
It's probably more so now than it was when Al and Hassan were on it every week.
Yeah, if they were still on it, I think it would be a better shot at that. I just think the people we have on it, and who wants to listen to those?
Well,
that have been
you
done.
say that, but you look at Young Frankenstein. Which
that's a favorite, though. Everybody.
Okay, it's a favorite. You don't think Jaws is a favorite for people?
There's something about I knew Young Frankenstein would attract a little bit more. And as a matter of fact, we had more people on there that weren't even part of the podcast because they just, when I told them I was doing it, they're like, I want to be on that one.
What if we could get someone who lived on the island at the time they were filming Jaws?
We had some cousins that did that.
Yeah,
huh?
and they watched some of the filming. They saw the shark and all that stuff. That might be an interesting take.
The guy that we had on the Young Frankenstein, Michael, he does a podcast with the guy who was
Kittredge.
He was in that scene. He wasn't the kid that got killed.
No, but
he was in the scene.
She was his mother for real.
Teacher. She was a teacher.
I thought she was his mother. No?
I think she was his teacher.
Oh.
I thought the mother too, but I think it did. So anyway, if that's peripherally how I could get at it, that's what I would like to do. If I could get the guy who wrote Jaws Log, the guy who wrote the movie, Carl Gottlieb, who likes to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
If Sean knew him and I could get that guy on in a heartbeat. If Spielberg suddenly says I want to go on because Lou Diamond did it.
None of them are doing anything right now, so maybe
they might, I
just think
or my favorite, because everyone says I look like him, is Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, you do look a little
right. I went into a store the other day, and the guy he looks up and he looks at me and he goes, I go, Richard Dreyfuss? He goes, yeah, how'd you know that? I go, I get that all the time.
Because I get that all the time. I get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I go, please. It's embarrassing,
Which guy? I'm trying
Brad Pitt.
Oh, Brad.
What are you kidding me? When I take my shirt off, Ralph?
I thought Bruce Dern. That's where I thought you were going with that one. So Die Hard, yes. Would I love to talk about Die Hard? Yes, all day long. I just don't think it'd be interesting.
You just think everybody does it. What about, like I always tell you, what about Citizen Kane, which is one of my favorite movies of all time?
That's one of those that I just can't. I just don't.
You can't watch it. You don't like it.
I've seen it. I've seen it
to death. People have talked about it.
That's right. It's like, and it's held up as the be all and end all of every movie ever made, and I just don't see it, and I don't care. But would I do it if you brought it? Of course I would. I would.
Okay,
have to. That's
so you're more of a fanboy than an actual film connoisseur.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, do I like the minutia about how to make a film? Yes, of course. I'm an editor, so I'm looking at stuff.
That's why Citizen Kane is such a great.
Listen, I know all that. Listen. Maybe it's because we had to talk about that in class in college.
Oh, you did?
Oh my God, the way the crane shot he did, the giant through the thing, all that stuff, and the table and all. He's a genius. Blah blah blah.
24 years old. I mean, come on.
I know. No, I'm not. I'm not poo-pooing him.
How about a silent movie? Like you have a Buster Keaton poster. Have you ever seen The General?
I probably have seen it, but it's black and white, right?
Yeah, it's black and white.
I don't care. No. Yeah, we could do it. Listen, we could do it. I don't mind black and white films, by the way. That's kind of
because Young Frankenstein was black and white.
And I was pissed when I saw it. I remember going, geez, I'm getting gypped here. And then it turns out.
Well, I heard Steven Soderbergh did a color version.
He did, that bastard. Yeah, have you seen what I showed you? That
No.
Raiders?
I actually read a review on it, and they said it was phenomenal.
Yeah, because Spielberg shot like he's shooting black and white.
I can't do it that way.
Yeah, I know.
It's too much to me.
So
what's a guilty pleasure movie that maybe isn't a great movie, but it's one that you really like that's not mainstream or
I have
mainstream.
to say the Counselor. That's it. That's it.
But that's a movie nobody saw.
Carmen Diaz bangs a car. Okay?
Isn't that like what do you mean
has
bangs
sex
a car?
with an automobile? she has sex with an automobile. Plus, it's got two of my man crushes in there.
Who? Michael Fassbender?
No, three. I'm sorry, three. Fassbender,
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, and Javier Bardem. I just think in this movie.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! In this movie,
You got a man crush on him?
Oh, he's
That's
so great.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, but he's just I just like Fassbender. I can watch do anything since Inglourious. But I didn't see Shame yet. So what?
Nothing.
It's what is it? Kevin Costner. I listed
the side of you. You got a lot of man crushes, Ralph.
Yeah, but it's not
what?
It's just appreciating the guy.
Oh, okay. You appreciate their acting style.
Yeah, I really
they
come
happen
to appreciate.
Be strikingly handsome men too.
Well, Brad Pitt is better now as he's older as an actor, and I couldn't take my eyes off him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
But DiCaprio is better than Brad Pitt in that movie.
No way. Disagree.
Oh my
now
God.
I know he had the scene where he's crying with the girl, all that.
It wasn't even that.
Or the scene in
Brad Pitt
where
was
he's
one note in that
in the RV where he's
DiCaprio.
Yeah, but did you see Brad Pitt's arms when he was driving that car? You see his arms when he was doing that?
Oh my God.
Oh.
This is why. That's my acting background.
All right, what's your guilt? Oh, wait a minute. Actor.
Yeah.
Where's my camera?
Fanboy.
Actor.
You're a fanboy.
Jesus. What's your guilty pleasure?
I have not seen it in a long time, but we talk about it all the time. Porky's. Because
I can't even remember that movie.
Because there's a scene in it where do you remember the scene in the shower?
The hole, is there a hole in the shower or something?
Not that. It's the story in the principal's office when they're describing what happened.
No, I don't remember that movie.
Oh my God.
I couldn't tell
and
you
then
a
he's
thing.
up with Lassie in the gym when she smelled sweat socks. Kim Cattrall. It's the funniest scene.
Kim Cattrall's in Porky's?
Oh yeah. She was
I didn't know
one.
that.
She was Lassie.
You remember my godfather calling me Lassie my whole life? I never knew where that came from. Yeah. I don't know what that's about.
But the other one that I love, and I already mentioned it, is Dodgeball. I just love that movie. Whenever it comes on, I love it.
Yeah, Dodgeball's funny. Ben Stiller.
Zoolander. He's great in Zoolander.
Tropical Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Tug Speedman.
With
the pecker.
Yeah.
Pecker.
That's McConaughey before. I think that might have been in the middle of reconnaissance. Right there. That Tropic Thunder happened right in the middle of all that, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Just at the start of it.
Yeah.
And now, what other guilty pleasure? I have to think about that one. There are movies, so I'm an editor.
Yeah.
I edit television programs. I edit movies and stuff. A lot of people use music to edit with, right? I use movies as a metronome.
So you watch movies while you're
I listen. There are movies that I will listen to. So there's movies I've watched over and over. Okay, Zodiac, Michael Clayton.
Oh, I love that movie.
The Big Short, Too Big to Fail. These are movies that I don't have to watch, but I know every bit of dialogue that's coming up. I can feel the rhythm. It gives me a metronome. It helps me. I can figure out how long I've been editing based on the movie, where I'm at. Now, if I'm doing a music video, I need to listen to the music. But music, I can't have it playing while I'm editing. But a movie, I just put it in the background, and it soothes me and it keeps me in line. It's pretty interesting. And like I said, I don't have to listen to it.
You don't have to.
I don't have to watch it. Yeah. I listen to it because I know where.
So let me back up. Classic movies. Give me a classic pre-1950.
Is that what you mean by classic pre-1950s?
Well, no. Well, I hope you actually pick a classic movie, but a movie pre-1950 that
the Killers, Stanley Kubrick, The Killers, or Killers.
That's not. Is that
The Killing? The Killing.
That's not pre-1950, is it?
That's 60. You mean like 19? If I got to go back to the 40s, forget it. Give me some names. I have no idea.
Well, is there any old movie stars that you like there, like Jimmy Stewart, Clark Gable? None of those guys.
No. I think they overacted. They weren't natural.
You're right.
Jimmy Stewart. I like Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart's a lot like Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Oh, Henry Fonda.
So what's a Henry Fonda? It doesn't have to be pre-1950, but what's a
Failsafe.
Oh, great movie.
And Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, Sergio Leone.
Where he plays the villain.
Yeah, you know the story about that he had contacts made?
Yes, to keep his eyes black because his eyes were too blue.
Sergio Leone went absolutely crazy. He goes, I want that camera, that first shot. I want them to see those piercing blue eyes and say, Henry Fonda just did that?
Yeah.
He was great in that movie.
Warren Oates.
Oh!
Love Warren Oates.
See, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He's a little not obscure. That's not right. The word. That's
not
he's not mainstream. I mean, he's not a.
Well, he was great in Blue Thunder with Roy Scheider.
Blue Thunder.
Roy Scheider.
How do you measure yours with a dipstick?
Gene Hackman. I mean, okay. I mean, there's a whole list of guys.
Yeah, but you're talking again. You're talking late.
No,
60s,
50s. I don't really like. To me, they all overacted. It just doesn't feel. Those movies all feel like when we did The Thing, your version of The Thing. It just feels phony. It feels like a play. Hey, we got to put a play on. Everybody's got to be up. And
you're right. I mean, that's how.
And Hudsucker Proxy was that as a movie.
That's how those movies were made. But I'm just surprised there are no classic films like Casablanca.
Do I like it? Yes.
Yeah.
African Queen. I've seen that. Humphrey Bogart. Cool as shit.
Maltese
Maltese Falcon. Didn't see it.
Maltese Falcon you liked?
Yep.
So that's good.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess, there's certain things, but for the most part, I just find those to be boring. Now, you hit the 70s, that's right in my...
Right.
Like, and those, somebody now would look at those and go, those are boring. When I showed my kids The Exorcist, they thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever saw.
Yeah.
I thought it was the scariest movie I've ever seen. I'm watching it one night and a clock at midnight falls off my wall.
No, that was...
you go back, I just watched today, Capricorn 1. 1977.
Is that the fake moon landing? That's
fake Mars landing, conspiracy.
O.J. Simpson?
They finally got him. They were trying to get him in that movie. They finally got him. That's 1977. Elliot Gould, smack dab in conspiracy, government conspiracy stuff. That's the stuff. Taking of the Pelham 1, 2, 3. Those realistic films, like acting. Like Kevin Costner is a very naturalistic actor. I kind of like that. Those old guys, they had, they were coming off plays and you had to project.
True.
I don't know. It just
not all of them, but that's
I know.
True. Yeah.
Well, who's a good a naturalistic actor that's classic
from that time frame? Yeah. Well, again, you already mentioned Henry Fonda,
right?
Definitely Jimmy Stewart. I mean, there were Frederick March.
Only guys. Any women that you would?
Yeah, Betty Davis was probably the greatest actress ever.
I fell in love with her doing that series on Showtime. The two Bettys.
Oh, yeah.
Betty versus...
it was...
Betty Davis and...
it was Joan Crawford versus...
There were T-shirts. There was Joan versus...
Yeah.
Betty Davis I thought was awesome.
She's probably the best actress out of them all because the roles she played were so different. And she played the ingenue. She played the leading ladies in the beginning of her career, but she was a much better actress than that. Actually, Joan Crawford had some good movies too. But there was some. It's just, to your point, it's a completely different style of acting. It's not the realism that happened in the late 60s and 70s. That's where that really started.
Well, listen, the one thing that came out of the podcast that broke me, the ladies' choice, is Jenna, who was my significant other at the time, picked a 1932 film called The Blue Angel.
Yeah.
With Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Directed by an ex-German silent film director. And I'm like, oh my God. And I loved it. I loved Marlene Dietrich. I loved what was going on in the film. I loved the way it looked. And I never would have seen that movie in a million years. And that one you can get for free on the internet. And I ended up going out and buying the Laserdisc. I liked it so much.
Oh, it was out on Laserdisc?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, and that's one I never would have watched. But Cagney, all those were all stuff everybody expected you, especially if you're a film. I wasn't a film major, but I was in television production. So we were watching. That's where the Citizen Kane thing came from. Yeah. But again, I'm more into the naturalistic 70s, French Connection, all that stuff.
Too, but it's such a different Hollywood. It's so different the way films are made pre-1960, I would say. And then after 1960. So it's just completely different. But
I also think you're into the process of acting.
Yeah, I am.
So when you see those guys do what they're doing, you're coming at it from a different you're coming at it from inside out. You're like, oh, this is what he would have had to do to get into, like James Cagney.
Well, yeah, I mean, Yankee Doodle Dandy is like,
right.
That's a movie I just absolutely love because he's so good in that.
Right.
And you're right. I wish I could do half that. When I'm watching that, I go, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do the stuff that he's doing.
Right. Who do you wish you could, if there was an actor that you wanted to be right now? Doesn't have to be contemporary, but 80s, 90s, whatever.
Well, it's funny because I when I was doing a play.
Wait a minute. Who are you? Anybody famous?
Yeah. No.
Doesn't matter.
I was doing dinner theater actually locally, and I got interviewed for a newspaper article, and they asked me who my favorite actor was, and I said Gene Wilder. But
it's not bad.
What's funny is it got transposed, and she put Gene Hackman. Now, if you know, I always did comedies, musical comedies. I mean, I did 90% comedies. So for me, Gene Wilder was it. Because Silver Streak,
he had a great run.
The two Young Frankenstein at the time, and I was kind of manic like that when I was on stage.
Yeah.
So I could have played in the producers. I could have played his part like nothing. So for me, it was him. But like, I mean, I look at a guy like, and I would never ever put myself in this category. But if I wanted to be like someone contemporary, like what De Niro did, I'm not talking about now. Really 70s and 80s, what he was able to do. Like he's this guy, and I never really did this. He became these people. Do you know what I mean? You could tell that he was buying into everything. That was always impressive to me because he did it physically. You know, he did it with his voice. He did it with tics and stuff.
Right.
That was always really impressive to me. But I was always like Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
I love Tom. And Tom, I think Tom Hanks is a very good actor. I don't put him in the De Niro category. I put him in the Stewart category.
Yeah, but
that's not taking anything away from Tom Hanks.
No,
you know what I mean?
Listen, Tom Hanks, I fell in love with in Bosom Buddies.
Yeah, exactly.
If anybody knows what that is, you have to be my age to know what that is. But
yeah, with Peter Scolari,
right,
and Donna Dixon, married to
Donna Dixon. That's right. Married to Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Lucky man. Lucky man.
So I don't know any more guilty pleasures that I have movie wise.
Like something like stupid. A stupid movie that you really.
There's a lot of stupid movies I love. I can't.
What's one that you would recommend to people that they probably wouldn't think to watch?
I have to think about that one. I have to see a list. That's the thing. I can't just pop it out of my head.
Well.
I look at my Dumb and Dumber's not bad.
Yeah, the first one.
The first one. I'm looking at posters that I have.
Well, I would say, if you're going to say that, I would say Ace Ventura, too. Such a stupid
Ace Ventura is the best.
But it was like, oh, my
God. That's above Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura just kills me.
What a stupid movie that was.
It's so stupid, but he's so funny.
Talk about overacting.
Oh, him and all of them in that. And,
Sean Young.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the A's. You started in the A. So, but yeah. Now, what's your see? We do this all the time. What's your favorite movie? I can't stand that. I hate that question.
So you got to go by genre.
I know that's what I keep saying.
But I would say my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
That's my favorite movie. But if you go by genre, which we're going to do a podcast soon where we talk about that. I mean, I love Citizen Kane. I watch that movie over and over again. Because
what's that genre?
I mean,
biopic?
No, it's not. I mean, it's a drama.
Genius director.
I would call that the classic category. I put Casablanca in there.
Yeah.
That Wizard of Oz. I put that in the category.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at him I think about myself at 24 and what my mindset was, and I'm looking at this guy who for the first time in the history of movies, he had complete control over the entire movie. They just didn't do that back then. And it was the only time in his career that he had that.
Right.
And to me, that's half of the reason why I like it.
You got to ask yourself, why didn't he ever get it again?
Because of Hearst. Because he ended up,
pissing him off?
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, the newspapers wouldn't advertise for him, and the studios didn't want the headaches anymore because that movie was a big headache. So from my standpoint, I'm like, the whole way that got made. You ever seen RKO 128 with Liev Schreiber.
I know of it.
It's
I don't think I've
great,
seen it.
and it really tells the background of how that movie got made.
Well, maybe I'll watch that.
That's really interesting.
That's
And
RKO
then I think
128.
if you watch RKO 128, that was the number of the picture back then.
Yeah.
But if you watch that and then watch Citizen Kane, it might make you think of it a little bit differently of what
I've seen Citizen Kane.
I know, but when you see
I have
that
a
movie-
Criterion DVD up there of Citizen Kane that I've watched and listened to.
I've got you can't see them, but I got like 5 books back there on the making of Citizen Kane.
And I've listened to the patron saint of.
He fascinates me. Orson Welles.
Roger Ebert does a whole track on the thing I have.
I know. I watch and
pontificating about Citizen Kane.
By the way, Spinal Tap. Did you watch the director commentary?
No, you said that.
Oh my God!
It's not on my laser disc that I have.
You got 4 days. Oh, you don't have it?
No, this is what I got. But it's
I got the
almost the
DVD.
Black Album, but they just.
That's nice, man. That looks brand new.
It is. It's a Criterion, but it doesn't have the track.
Oh, that commentary by the 3 of them. It's only the 3 of them, and they're in character the entire time.
Yeah,
that's what makes it so funny.
Robert Downey Jr. did that for Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah, he played.
He said, "I'm going to stay in character till this DVD commentary is over."
I don't break character to the DVD commentary,
and he did it.
He couldn't do that today. No. He couldn't play that part today.
Well, there's 2 things. He the R word's in there, and and he was blackface. But it's funny. I mean, it's funny. He's funny.
Well, listen, like we always talk about, it's a movie of its time, and it shouldn't take away from it. You know what
it doesn't
I'm saying?
matter all the Vietnamese they're killing and all the people.
No. It's
and he kills a panda. That's okay. All that's fine.
Applejack.
Blackface.
I love you.
So.
Your friend, talk about the lesbians, but I can't say that.
That's just a thing I have. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Any more questions or? Are you enjoying being on the podcast?
I love it. It's funny. My wife laughs because now and then she forgets we have to eat dinner a little early because of the podcast. So I say, honey, did you remember we got the podcast? She goes, I got to get dinner cooked. But I love it because, frankly, look, let me be really upfront. Right now I'm considered non-essential. Okay. Oh. So I'm not doing a lot with my brain.
Right.
So when we get to do these podcasts, it's nice to do a little research on the movie, especially if I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And then to talk about something that I really love. And I love movies. I very rarely don't like a movie because I just love movies. Yeah. Spitfire Grill was an exception.
Yeah, that was bad.
I didn't hate it as much as you did. But
I mean, whatever.
It was tough.
Some of the earlier ones we did, there was some. We haven't had a lot of disagreements on a lot of these. We've been picking movies like Miracle Mile nobody had seen, so that was interesting to get those reactions.
Yeah, who picked that?
I did.
You did. What made you pick that? Did you see that before?
Yeah, I had seen it before. It was
I never even heard of it.
It was the very start of the lockdown. So for some reason, I was watching nothing but
that's right. That's
dystopia movies. I was just watching dystopia.
And Mojo wouldn't be on it because of that.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I kind of don't blame her now that looking back, I'm like, why would I do that? It's like, why even?
Well, and that was at the height of this thing when no one knew what the hell was going on.
We were right at the beginning. Yeah. But we were locked down.
Yeah.
And I had known about Miracle Mile. Al loved Miracle Mile. I think, was he on that podcast with us? Because we did Smokey. He was on Smokey and the Bandit, with the baby. There's my other guy crush. Sorry. Yeah. Burt Reynolds. How could he not be on that list? I have lady crushes too. We'll just talk about that later.
You only talk about the guy crushes
because I think it's less creepy. I don't know.
All right, so name one actress from any era. So like you can pick somebody how they looked in 1960, not how they look now. One actress that you go hubba hubba hubba.
Natalie Portman in The Professional. No, Sally Field from Smokey and the Bandit on.
Just to be clear, Natalie Portman played a 14-year-old.
She was 12, actually.
12. So that's kind of.
And she was over-sexualized in that film.
No, she was.
I have to.
Sally Field.
If I could go back and pick anybody from any era.
Yeah.
I was always I can't. I was always in love. For some reason, I had this super love thing for Angelica Houston. I don't know where that came from. Something about her just drove me crazy. Really, it's just weird.
I think that really makes clear About the man crushes you have.
No. Look back at she's in Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah, I know she is. Isn't she in the party scene?
She makes the little 18-inch. She's the one that made
That's
the
not. That's Angelica Houston.
Yes.
Are you sure?
100%.
I got to see that.
She made the 18-inch Stonehenge.
I would go late 60s Raquel Welch.
Oh, that's a good pull.
She was.
That's a good pull.
Gorgeous.
That's a good pull.
I'm going to look this, but it's got to be late.
Gene Seberg is cute. Gene Seberg from.
Oh, yeah. I like Gene Seberg.
What's that movie she did in France? I have a poster on my wall. I can't even remember. I can't remember when I'm on camera. Marianne from Gilligan's Island was always a hottie.
Dawn Wells.
More
than Ginger.
Yeah, for me anyway. Yeah, no. Sally Field was.
I thought
good.
you'd say Gilligan. I'm kind of surprised.
Bob Denver was all right, but no.
Angelica Houston. I got to see that. Houston.
It's Angelica Houston. You're wasting valuable
when
podcast
I looked
time.
at her face, at first I thought it was, and then I go, "You see Dana Carvey?
Yeah, he Angry Bird hands or something.
He was the mime.
Yeah, Billy Crystal says you got to do the Angry Bird hands. Mime is money.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm losing all my quotes that we're going to use on this is Spinal Tap. It's definitely her. I don't know why you're.
I'm looking at her name. I don't see her name.
She's in there.
Angelica Houston. You are right.
That's right.
I don't know if you can see her.
I can't. She made it's all blurry.
Oh.
She made the 18-inch Stonehenge. Yeah. Based on the napkin.
What we do this for? Doesn't make. Oh, come on! Don't say it.
Who else? I'm trying to think. That's a good question. Like any era, I could pick any era.
It's a tough one. See, for me, it isn't because that's like that when she did the prehistoric movie there.
Yeah, 1 million years BC.
1 million BC. Oh, my.
How about she was in the Bill Cosby one? What was that?
Yeah,
Mother Jugs and Speed.
Mother Jugs and Speed. Yeah,
and she was also the roller girl.
And she was
Heather Graham. Oof.
Oh, good call. Contemporary.
Yeah, Heather Graham, 100%.
Was in a TV series that lasted one episode.
I know. She just did some picture where she was in her roller skates again.
Oh, that's a good call right there.
Yeah,
as you said,
and that's not creepy because she's old enough, and it's not like you lean.
Yeah, she's not 12 like Natalie Portman.
Well,
that's creepy. You need the counseling.
Right. That's why I threw it right away. I just want to get it out there.
But the fact that you even entered your head, that's kind of
okay. Because I'm just a dude.
You're a dude. How about what do you think about Animal House? I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's one of those that it's not a rewatchable one for me. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it because it was the year I went to college. The year before I went to college, I saw that film, and I thought that's what college was going to be. And of course, we did all the toga parties and all that stuff, and this is going to be great. Everybody was saying that.
Yeah.
But it's not one. It's it's funny. Caddyshack is also a great film that I just don't rewatch a lot.
Wow.
I mean, I love it. I'm not saying I don't love it.
Well, you're not really a golfer.
I think if Caddyshack came on, if I were flipping through and I saw it, I would stop. That's one I would stop. Probably Animal House too. But, I have tons of laser discs, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, or you go on Netflix. You ever do the thing on Netflix where you're mindlessly scrolling?
Yeah.
And it's just the information overload. You just can't make a decision.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while what did I watch the other night? Like today was Capricorn 1. That it was on Hulu and I just want to watch it. It's great. And then the other night I watched, Star Chamber. I get these laser discs at thrift stores that are
Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
But yeah, for the most part, Animal House meant a lot to me, but it's not one I go back to a lot.
Yeah. Like Caddyshack and Animal House, I have the DVDs.
Yeah.
I don't watch them that way. If they come on TV, I watch them.
Right.
But I don't.
But I told you I'm obsessively now converting all my DVDs to MP4s.
A bunch of them. I have a bunch of them.
And now I've run out, so I go out to thrift stores and I go get more.
But that's to watch on the computer, right?
It's so much. I'm watching more movies that way.
Yeah.
So I just I'm laying in my bed and I'll just put it on. But I also
watch them on the big screen.
But I don't care about that. But I also grab all the. I mean, I prefer the big screen. Oh, I just saw Bill and Ted at that drive-in in Baltimore.
You liked it?
Oh my God, the movie's great. It's very nostalgic. It's not, they're movies. They're all the same. I wouldn't call any of those movies great, but they're fun to watch. And this one hits all the right buttons. Anyway, the screen was huge. and you see these birds fly in front
bigger
of the
than a normal drive-in screen?
Yes, the screen is huge. I'd show you pictures, but they don't let you take any pictures. It's not that, accidentally I might have been snapping something. I got something, but it's huge. So you see these birds fly across, and they look like flies. That's how big the screen is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the projection that they're using, whatever they're using, is just insanely bright. Because drive-ins are popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to call them portable, but like at RFK Stadium here, in the parking lot, which is right next to an armory, they put a drive-in theater.
You mean because of the projectors now?
They throw up a screen, put a projector, but this is a legit
projectors anymore.
65-year-old drive-in movie theater.
Yeah.
Literally with the poles that had the speaker holders.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, obviously everything's coming through the radio now, but they still have the poles with the old.
Well,
speaker.
I think you're going to see more popping up because I think movie theaters are going to. I think it's going to be a while till people feel comfortable. I would have no problem going in, but I think a lot of people are going to feel uncomfortable.
Well, you got to spread it out a little bit.
Well, they're going to do that anyway.
The biggest problem was the snack bar. You had to be 6 feet away. It took forever to get a popcorn. It took 45, 50 minutes. You missed half the movie.
That's no.
Yeah. So, but but it was the experience was great. It was a perfect night, and it was the screen.
Nice. You went with the kids?
No, I went. I had to bring someone. I can't have a minimum of 2, so I picked somebody up along the way, and like Larry David did for his baseball game,
when he wanted to get in the HOV lane,
right? I just grabbed somebody. Said, "Hey, I already paid for these tickets. Why don't you come in?" No, I went with a friend of mine. We had a nice time.
And did he have a good time?
They had a very long. I use they now. We don't.
That's the pronoun.
That's right. They had a great time. So there. Let's see. We got to wrap this up.
All right.
We'll keep this under an hour, which would be good. We might get a lot of hits. So I'm glad you joined the podcast. Well, I know you get frustrated at times because you like to jump in and you see that I make mistakes a lot.
Ralph, I think you're.
But don't see. This is. I don't like the new John.
You're doing yeoman's work.
And I miss the old John.
I don't think you get enough credit for what you do.
I give myself enough credit. We're sponsored. Do you see my sponsorship back here? Got the
Town Spot Pizza.
Yeah.
We got to get them to sponsor the show.
A friend of mine brought me two frozen pies home the other day from Stoughton.
Who? What friend?
Tim Miller.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he called me. He goes, I'm putting my father-in-law in the Blue Hills nursing home. I think I'm close to the spa. You want me to pick up some pizza? Yeah, pick me up 2 Hamburg pies. 2, yeah.
I picked up 6 of them.
They're gone already. I ate them within the first 2 days.
I'm going to talk to them about a sponsorship on our podcast.
You should. I'm slapping them all over the place. You have any suggestions for the podcast?
I got a bunch of them, but I don't want you rolling your eyes.
I have a very active listening face.
Like I want to do Singing in the Rain.
No, I don't mean movies. I know you want to do that. You bring whatever I say. Suggestions for the podcast.
Yeah, I would like to do. I think it was I think the idea behind the quiz was excellent. I think the
failed trivia quiz
failed miserably.
Yes.
I think, and I wouldn't even do it on the movie that we're watching. I would do general movie trivia.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I just did that for Young Frankenstein.
I don't
want to turn this into that. See, part of it is, and since I've started this podcast, Bill Simmons has his Rewatchables podcast. It's the same idea. And as a matter of fact, we were using Roger Ebert before he started going to him. Roger Ebert's the patron saint of, for some reason, has become the patron saint of critics, even though he's changed his mind a ton.
Yeah.
So he's Bill Simmons, right? It's hard to even compete. And they do, hey, what's your favorite scene? Here's the top 5 scenes. What do you think? Here's our. I kind of like what I missed from the pool table was just the free flow conversation.
Well, no, I think that's fine, but I think we should break it up. Like I think we should do one episode of movie trivia. One episode just of movie trivia. Then we should do one episode, not like, every other one. I mean, like once a month, do something different from the regular podcast just to break it up.
No, I like what we did with the pick your scene.
Yeah. We talked about doing favorite movies from specific genres. I
think that's a good idea.
Yeah. But I would love to do, I think we should do, let's see how much people actually know about movies. Nothing incredibly hard, but
I mean, again,
Frankenstein trivia.
But you mean trivia wise?
Yeah, trivia.
That I'm going to hand off to somebody else. I am not going to do that.
I would definitely take charge of that.
Yeah.
Because one of your questions was fill in the blank blank Frankenstein. And I just thought
Nobody got it.
most
Nobody. They thought I was tricking them. They were trying to think of what he's,
like,
he's
is
a
this a trick
genius. What's that
question?
all
I
about?
don't think
No,
so.
I picked the worst internet. I picked it for dummies.
Well, I think it was the internet for 3-year-olds. I think.
That's what I think I picked that
Yeah.
one. One of them was, yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I missed the best one, which is the Walk This Way. I had no idea Aerosmith wrote that song for that.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
And
I
he
didn't even ask
wanted
that
it cut out of the movie too. Did you know that? Mel Brooks wanted it out of the movie. He didn't think it was funny.
Ugh.
And they showed it in the preview, and it got the biggest laugh of the entire night. He goes, "That's in."
That's amazing.
So yeah, and now everyone does it. No, this way, this way.
All right, so this was a good test. So if we do the Q, what are we going to call it? In the Q,
No.
Q Brothers.
Cue it up.
Cue
with
it
the
up.
Q Brothers.
Cue it up with the Q. Now, would we talk about movies or other things?
I think we can talk about anything we want. It can be current events, something happening in sports. I think we should stay away from politics.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we're on
100%
opposite
agree.
ends of the spectrum, so why get into
completely
that?
on the opposite end of that
and you
spectrum.
know what? The truth is, Ralph.
Don't what?
No.
Oh.
There's so much of that now that I'm
trying to get away from it.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. It's nonstop, and this is a nice break from that.
No,
So
I totally agree.
I'd like to
totally
talk about movies, TV, books, whatever.
I
like
agree.
this conversation was pretty free flowing, right? We had nothing prepared for it. So I kind of like that. That's kind of I find that kind of interesting. Now, it doesn't mean anybody out there is going to find this interesting, but I think a little background about what we're doing is good. So,
and again, I do this for me.
Right, exactly.
If I wanted to make money doing this, I'm sure there's 8 million ways I could be doing. I don't know. I'm sure, but
can you give us out of the million? Can you give us a couple of ways that we can make money from this?
Let's see. I think no. I have no idea. That's the thing. I can't. I can't. I don't
fun.
think
Listen,
like that. If somebody wants to, if one of you guys can figure out a way to monetize this thing, boom, let me know. I'm just the creative genius behind.
Listen,
I'm
we're
the creative genius behind this.
We're old
thing.
people. We're
Whatever
old.
that means.
So we're not the ones that understand the social media thing as well.
Not a clue. And nobody's gonna like. I will listen to a 3-hour podcast, movie podcast about guys the way they categorize their DVDs. Do they have the spines in or out? Are they genre based? Is it alphabetical? I could listen to that all day long, and I do. But nobody wants to listen to us. What?
Wow, you could listen to that for 3 hours.
There's this one junk. These guys. Let's see. Hang on one sec. Film junk. It's called Film Junk. Okay. There are 3 guys, and all they do is talk about movies.
About how they
and they go off and offshoots, and they go, okay, now they talk about, now let's talk about how we categorize that. Now they buy the steel case stuff. They're into the 4K and so they have very specific, reasons they do things. Anyway, that's me. Not everybody can do that, and I completely understand.
Well, we'll come up with stuff, like what's your favorite film made from a book? Something different.
I still, John, here's the thing. I
Yes,
still
Ralph.
go back to what I find interesting is to bring a movie to people that have not seen that film. Like the book, that gets into regular podcast territory. It was and maybe because we're all almost the same, within the same age range, it's not working as well, and that's hard.
Yeah.
And Al's little cult corner is good, but that's not movies I ever want to see.
Good.
Anyway.
I mean, good is relative term, but
I know that. I know you believe that, but I enjoy the cult corner.
Yeah.
Now, again, those movies I'll never watch. Probably
it's growing on me. I have to tell you.
Good. It
is growing.
It's going to be here a while.
Super exciting.
So yeah, I miss having people on that haven't seen these films. Yeah, and I don't want to get into that normal. Hey,
well, see, that's what happens when you do classic films. Most people haven't seen them.
I know, but that's good. Like I said, The Blue Angel, I fell in love with. I would never. Sound of Music. When Debbie brought that, Sean's wife, I was like, oh my God, and I loved it when I sat through it again.
Yeah.
So it all works. All right. That's the other. Just one more thing before I go.
Yeah.
When you look at our podcast now and you see the windows filled with couples.
Yeah.
That's new to the Zoom thing. That's not something that I.
Yeah.
And frankly, now it's part of it, and I think it's a riot. I love the fact that those guys sit together.
I've
and
tried to
Debbie's
get my
doing
wife
the movie,
on it.
they flip sides.
I tried to get my wife on it. Rose won't do it.
Well,
I will not do it.
She won't come on at all.
No. She came on and said hi. I was shocked she even did that.
Right.
I said, Rose, we'll let you pick a film. Come on.
Well, if we ever do another ladies' choice, because I actually, as much as it broke me, when I look back now, fondly looking back with the rose-colored eyes, it turned out to be pretty good.
Pretty funny.
pretty funny and therapy. Like there's one point where Jenna said something and Sean says, I thought that was a metaphor, but no, she's actually telling us what's going on in this relationship. Bro, done. Anyway.
Well, Jenna's got no filter, so I understand.
Yeah, and a couple bottles of wine later, and what are you going to do?
A couple bottles of
So,
wine.
right. So anyway, all right. Well, there you go. Where's Mike? There's camera 2, Jaws. So yes, favorite film about a man eating shark eating people on Amity Island.
And one of the best ensemble acted movies ever.
Well, that's again, you talk about just lightning in a bottle, and they thought there was going to be a huge failure. So that's why it's hard to talk about that film because everybody's talked about it so
We
much.
just talked about it.
I know because it's great. What can I say?
It just rolled off your tongue too.
Rolled off my tongue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a good
Ralphie.
one. Good test for the Q
Yeah,
in the Q
Q
with
it
the
up
Q
with the
brothers.
Q brothers.
With the Q brothers.
I like
And
it.
so I'll see you next week for
Tuesday,
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
This is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And that's
Well
it.
done.
We'll see you next time.
All right, bud.
Good
Take
ball.
care.
All right, John.
Bye.
Have a good week. Stay
You
safe.
too.
Okay. Bye.